The budget was developed to promote fiscal sustainability, macroeconomic stability, and ensure smooth transition to the incoming administration.
On Tuesday, President Muhammadu Buhari signed the 2023 budget. Let me just say there are some things you need to know in this budget, and I'll be sharing them with you. Happy New Year and welcome to Premium Times on the Go. I am Titilope Fadari. I'm sure some of you have heard of James Buhari and the over 4.2 million euros that was stolen by him. But for you, do you think paying ransom is a viable means to end insecurity? On the 3rd of January 2022, President Buhari approved the 2023 budget as passed by the National Assembly. And here are 7 things you need to know about the 2023 budget. 1. The amount. 21.83 trillion naira was passed, which is an increase of 1.3 trillion naira over the initial proposal from the executive's 20.5 trillion naira. 2. Supplementary budgets. Alongside the 2023 budget, the 2022 supplementary bill was signed into law. According to the President, this 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act will be used by his administration to respond to the havoc caused by the recent nationwide floods on infrastructure and agriculture sectors. What do you think about this? 3. Budget padding. As is the norm, President Buhari constantly criticized the National Assembly for inserting new projects and items into the budget away from what was proposed by the executive. This time, the National Assembly introduced new projects worth over 770 billion naira and increased the budget of some ministries, departments, and agencies by adding 58.55 billion naira. Instead of his usual complaint, he said he's going ahead to sign the budget despite the insertion by the National Assembly because there's a new government that is imminent and because he wants the budget to be implemented as soon as possible. And that leads to my next point. 4. Internal debt. We saw an element of I scratch your back, you scratch my back in Buhari's budget signing speech. What do I mean? Before President Buhari signed the bill, he wrote to the National Assembly to restructure outstanding ways and means balance of the Central Bank of Nigeria worth 22.7 trillion naira in the past 10 years. Ways and means is a method by which the executive borrows money from the Central Bank of Nigeria and it ought to pay back within the year. But the Buhari government has owed this amount, that is 22.7 trillion naira, for 10 years, and they asked the federal parliament to make the repayment plan flexible instead of within a year. But the federal lawmakers rejected it because it contravenes the provisions of the Constitution and the CBN Act. But in Buhari's speech of signing the 2023 budget, he appealed again to the National Assembly to reconsider their stance. At least now that he decided to support the new insertions by the National Assembly. Do you see what he did there? Well, failure to grant this approval would cost the government about 1.8 trillion naira due to the differences in applicable interest rates and the negotiated interest rates from the CBN. 5. Implementation of the budget. The President directed the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning to work towards early release of the 2023 capital votes to enable ministries, departments, and agencies commence the implementation of their capital projects. This means you'll be seeing some new developments around you soon. 6. 2023 elections. Although President Buhari's tenure is coming to an end, he has been gracious enough to make adequate provisions in the budget that will see to the successful conduct of the forthcoming general elections.
Adequate provisions have been made in the 2023 budget for the successful conduct of the forthcoming general elections and the transition program.
7. More revenue. Buhari also shared some tips on how he intends to generate more revenue before his exit. He directed ministries, departments, and agencies and government-owned enterprises to ensure all taxable organizations and individuals pay their tax. So if you're owing your tax, they're coming for you to get all the tax you're meant to pay. He also said they're going to implement public-private partnership initiatives to fast-track the infrastructural projects. Lastly, he left a message for his successor on how to make more money for the country. He advised the next president to sustain current efforts in crude oil production, focus on exportation, maintain current public financial management reform efforts, improve the budgeting process, and particularly maintain the tradition of supporting its appropriation bills with the finance bills. What do you think about Buhari's message on the 2023 budget? Let us know in the comment section. This is Premium Times on the Go. I am Titilope Fadari, and once again, I wish you a happy new year.